Welcome, everybody. It is Friday, July 14th. You're listening to WFAN Sports Talk Radio. This is your host, Nikki Fu. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is episode 2, and today it's going to be a little short episode. We're not going to talk too much about it today, but sort of got me a little interested, and I'm sure a lot of you heard about it too during All-Star Weekend. Ron Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, talking about expansion, and everybody loves expansion talk. In my 40s now, I've been through a lot of expansion scenarios, and growing up here in the Carolinas, even though I'm originally from Pennsylvania, I saw the Charlotte Hornets born, I saw the Carolina Panthers born, and expansion is just a fun thing to talk about, and now that baseball is looking to expand again since the the Marlins and the Rays came into the league. I think it's pretty interesting talk, so let's talk about it. So what we're going to do today is, like I said, we're going to keep the show short, so we're just going to talk about the 3 cities that Manfred talked about in the State of the League address during the All-Star Weekend, and we're going to go over the pros and cons of each team. Of course, I think they want to expand by 2 teams. There's not going to be the 3 teams, because I think they want to go to a 32 team format, sort of similar to football. 4 divisions in each league. We'll have 4 teams, and I think that'll be a great format too, because then you can sort of get rid of the wild card, because I think the wild card is a joke in baseball. And have all 4 division winners go into the playoffs, and just have a division series leading up to the Division League Championship, and 8 teams make the playoffs. So yes, my blood is pumping about this, so let's get going here. So the first city we're going to talk about is Charlotte. Now, Charlotte, I think out of the 3, Charlotte is going to probably be the favorite to land the first franchise. Because first of all, they have a big minor league footprint in the Carolinas, and they have really big followings amongst these minor league teams. The Durham Bulls, Charlotte Knights, and the Carolina Mudcats. The Charlotte Knights have a brand new baseball stadium right down in downtown Charlotte. If you haven't seen it, you have to go and check this out, man. It is like right down the street from Bank of America Stadium. Beautiful ballpark, and they are averaging, really good in the attendance box office over there. So, I think Charlotte's going to be the favorite to get that franchise. And, it also makes sense from a marketing standpoint, because, with the corporate sponsorships, they have Bank of America right in their backyard over there. So, they will have no problem selling out those luxury skyboxes. If you've ever been to downtown Charlotte, it is a big banking area. And, like I said, they will get the corporate sponsorships, and they will get a lot of support over there too. So Charlotte is the front runner, I think, out of the 3 cities he's already talking about. So let's talk about team names for Charlotte. So let's say, I'm hearing the Cougars, the Reds, or the Regals. Colors that have been thrown out there. I think they want to sort of go after the Charlotte Hornets colors, a teal, gray, and white. Now, everybody's going to ask you, what division are they going to be in? I happen to see them in the American League, just because you got the Braves and you got the Nationals are about the 2 closest teams, and they're both in the National League. So I think if Major League Baseball wants to put a baseball team in the Carolinas, they're going to probably put them in the American League. And, of course, the division realignment. So I sort of, did my homework on this and how they would realign the divisions if Charlotte would get a team. And in the American League, I would have an East, a Central, a West, and a South. So in the East, I would have the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Orioles, and the Blue Jays. That makes sense for the East. I mean, all natural rivals right there. You really don't, disrupt any, rivalries and all that. So that would be the East. In the Central, I would say you would go with the Indians, you go with the White Sox, you would go with the Twins, and you would go with the Tigers. That just makes sense for the Central. You don't mess that up. The West, you'd have the Angels, Mariners, A's, and Astros. And then in your new division, it would be the South, and you would have the Royals, the Rays, the Rangers, and the New Charlotte. expansion franchise. So that's my thoughts on Charlotte. Earlier today, I posted on Twitter if anybody wanted to ask any questions about my show as I was recording this today. Please send me the questions. I had one person send me a question about the Charlotte franchise. It was Brittany, and thank you for sending that question in, Brittany. The question is, do you feel Charlotte can support a franchise? I believe so. I mean, they support the Carolina Panthers. They are pretty good supporters of the Charlotte Hornets too. I felt like when the Bobcats were back in the league, it didn't have that, hey, Charlotte Hornet feel. Now that Charlotte has the Hornet name back and the teal colors back, there's a buzz around the city, no pun intended, but they are drawing pretty well in Charlotte now, especially with Dwight Howard in the mix with the Hornets. I think they're going to even get much more support. It's a good team in Charlotte in basketball, so watch out for them. They can make a little noise here in 2017-18. I'm not a big NBA fan, but growing up in the Carolinas, I sort of adopted the Hornets as my team, and I like more college basketball than I do NBA. But Charlotte, yes, Brittany, Charlotte can support a team, and I see Charlotte as a 3-city professional team city, like a sort of like a Pittsburgh, I don't think they can support 4 teams, that NHL, no, it won't work. They have the ECHL with the Checkers, and they draw pretty well over there. But yes, I think baseball would be a good fit in Charlotte. I hope it happens because I live in the Carolinas, and it would be nice to not worry about making that 5.5 hour drive to Atlanta or making that 7-hour drive to DC. Yes, Charlotte will get that team. So we'll be right back, and we'll be talking about Mexico City. Okay, that was just a short little break, everybody, and welcome back. So we are now moving on to Mexico City. Mexico City, up in the air, man. You're going out, you're going outside the country. I know you say, Toronto has a team. Canada has a team with Toronto and all that. But, first of all, I don't really have many pros for Mexico City. One thing I could say about that you'd have an entire country rooting for that team. And then you have an 8.1 million population in the Mexico City area. Shouldn't be hard to sell tickets, but are they going to sell the corporate sponsorships and the luxury boxes? And local TV market package could be pretty lucrative too, sort of something similar to, like a Chicago or a Boston or an LA. So those are my only really pros. My cons really outweigh my pros for Mexico City. The American players' reluctance to play in Mexico City. I don't know if many of them want to go there. They might be drafted by them, but what free agents will want to go play in Mexico City? The crime is really bad down there, and the altitude is high. The pollution is horrible, from what I understand. I've never been to Mexico City, but these are the stories I'm hearing. And and there's only 12 Mexican-born baseball players in MLB. Most of the Central American footprint of baseball is from like the Dominican Republic. So will they get that support? It's still going to be soccer as the number one sport in Mexico. So will they get that support? And I know Mexico's they love football. I would rather see Mexico City get a football team over a baseball team. And then who's going to pay for the stadium? They're in an economic crisis down there in Mexico, and a new stadium is going to cost you anywhere between $600 to $800 million. Who are they going to get to pay for that? Do they have a solid ownership group that is going to bid for the franchise? And what is the franchise going to cost for the expansion franchise? It's going to be a lot of money. So Mexico City, I really don't see them getting a team. But hey, let's say if they do get a team, what would be their team name? So I did a little fun homework on this. I would think they would be called the Mexico City Aztecs. Team colors, I would say red, silver, and black. Maybe something sort of mirroring the Arizona Diamondback colors, if they can get approval from the Diamondbacks to take those colors. Also, what league would they be in? I would say the American League also, and I would say they would be in the South, where I would put Charlotte, and they would be in that South division along with the Royals, the Rays, the Rangers, and then Mexico City. Chances of them getting a team, I would say, would be about 15%. So I really don't see it happening. Like I said, I put Charlotte over Mexico City on that one. But you never know. You never know what Manfred's thinking. I would actually, put another team in Canada before I would put another team in Mexico City. I mean, in Mexico with Mexico City. So, and going on to that, another team in Canada that comes up to the third team that Manfred talked about in his State of the Game address during the All-Star break. It's Montreal. Okay, Montreal, here we go again. They had a team. It didn't work out. And, they didn't average great in attendance at all. I mean, they were, they averaged 12,000 fans or below the last 7 years they were in Montreal. I mean, that's horrible. Yeah, granted, they were in a crappy stadium, Now I heard they want to build a nice, brand new outdoor stadium in downtown Montreal. Montreal is a beautiful city, and I would put Montreal here at number 2 amongst these three. And if they were awarding 2 out of these 3, I would go with Montreal and Charlotte. And the pros I would have with Montreal, of course, adding a second Canadian team into the market. Yes, I think it makes a lot of sense. Have a little rivalry there with Toronto. Even though I had this Montreal team going into the National League instead of the American League. But, they have interleague play now, so they could play Toronto a few times a year too. When they were in Major League Baseball, they were the 15th ranked television market in baseball amongst the other MLB teams, so that's not a bad TV market too. They had a baseball team before with the Expos. They had a couple great years. I think the best year they had with the Expos was the strike-shortened year in '94. I actually think that team probably could have gone on to win the World Series if they didn't get shafted by the strike. So they were getting plenty of support over there too. They brought up some great players like Andre Dawson and the big unit, Randy Johnson, Tim Raines. There were some great players that came through the Montreal Expos. I grew up watching them because, I was an NL East guy and I got to see a lot of the Expos on TV. And of course, they're going to have plenty of corporate sponsorship up in Montreal. It's a huge city. They have no problem selling out the luxury boxes. And from the renderings I see of their outdoor stadium, it looks like a beautiful stadium right in downtown Montreal. And I already heard they have an investment team ready to bid and build a stadium for the new franchise too. So they got plenty of support, and they got plenty of support from the province of Quebec for funding a stadium too. The province of Quebec actually helped Quebec build a new hockey arena in hopes to lure a NHL expansion franchise. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for them this year, but I see, Quebec getting a hockey team here in the next couple years. Somebody's going to move there. That's why I think Quebec did not get the second NHL expansion franchise, because they know somebody's going to move to Quebec, and my guess would be either it's going to be the Hurricanes or the Florida Panthers. So watch out for that. They have a beautiful brand new arena that sort of mirrors the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh. And trust me, they didn't build that arena for a minor league hockey team. Pro team will be going into Quebec. But hey, let's get back to baseball here. We're talking Major League Baseball expansion. You're on 21.5 WFAN Sports Talk Radio. This is Nicky Fu. We're still talking about Montreal. So, the cons of Montreal, like I said, their attendance wasn't great, but that was years ago. The stadium was crappy. They were playing in the old Olympic Stadium. It wasn't, meant for baseball. It didn't have that baseball atmosphere. It looks like they were playing in a convention hall. And, that we'll have to compete with Toronto's fan base. And, I don't think that should be a problem. And the other cons are they had a team before and it didn't work out. And, maybe Manfred wants to try something new. As for potential team names, I doubt they'll go with the Expos, but Expos is on my list as possibly one of the team names. I've heard other names out there, the Maroons, that used to be an old hockey team in Montreal. The Wanderers is another popular name amongst the people in Montreal. And the Chevaliers, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's a French word for cavalier, but that is another name I'm hearing out there too. Team colors I heard of would be royal blue and gold. And like I told you earlier, I think they're going to go into the National League. And I sort of revamped the National League divisions here. They'll have a little fun with this. So here's